I always knew working under Commander Zyala would eventually kill me. I just didn't expect it to be from embarrassment. The first time I met her, she had that Zorinthian stare that makes your soul fold in on itself. Her presence was blade-sharp, her tone clinical, and her respect for humanity minimal. Can't blame her. We were the new species on the block, loud, unpredictable, and fond of duct tape. She ran her ship like a quantum metronome. I ran my mouth like it was independently powered. We weren't supposed to mix. Zorinthians are bred for logic and perfection. Humans are mostly chaos with a Wi-Fi connection. But the Confederation needed a political gesture, and nothing says diplomacy like assigning a human engineer to a fleet of biologically perfect warriors. So there I was, Chief Technical Improviser, which was a fancy way of saying, the guy who fixes things after the real geniuses break them. Zyala never smiled, never blinked, never lost control. She also never acknowledged that I saved her ship from a singularity implosion using chewing gum and a coffee filter. She didn't yell. She just stared, like she was trying to mathematically erase me. But something changed after that. She started assigning me to more dangerous missions. Not out of spite. I think she was curious. Like I was a living science experiment she didn't want to admit was working. I didn't realize how closely she was observing me until the day I made the joke. It started with a minor mutiny among the Piran diplomat. Minor in the sense that they only blew up one corridor. The Pirans are lava-blooded and dramatic. I was sent in to fix the damage and negotiate a ceasefire using only my wrench and whatever charisma I hadn't burned through yet. I got them talking by promising they'd be allowed to express their rage via interpretive dance in the mess hall. Don't ask. It worked. When I reported back to Zyala, covered in soot and pride, she asked me how I managed it. I shrugged and said, "Well, Commander, I promised them space to be themselves, and offered to marry you as a gesture of cultural respect." Silence. A silence so thick it made sound feel awkward. Then she looked at me with this unreadable expression, eyes narrowing just a touch. "You offer a bonding proposal before confirming your own fertility rating? Curious. But acceptable." I laughed. She didn't. I thought she was messing with me. I clapped my hands and said, "Finally? Took you long enough." More silence. Then she nodded once. "I will initiate the legal bonding protocols. Your species' rituals are inefficient, but symbolic value is acknowledged." I froze. She wasn't joking. I tried to explain. Backpedal. Joke harder. But by then, the ship's AI had already logged the bonding contract. Galactic records updated. Confederation ambassadors informed. I was now legally engaged to my alien boss. It only got worse when the crew began cheering. Turns out, Zorinthians don't do jokes. At all. They interpret humor as covert sincerity. My sarcastic proposal was recorded as a formal declaration of intent, witnessed, and confirmed by 2 Piran emissaries who were just thrilled to be involved. I demanded a meeting with her. "You realize," I said, "that was sarcasm, right? A joke. A jest. Banter. I didn't mean it." She looked hurt? Or maybe confused. "I am aware your species uses misdirection in speech. But cross-species bonding is not meaningless. You offered. I accepted. Were your words false?" That stopped me cold. She sounded disappointed, like I'd insulted her honor. And somehow that stung more than I expected. "I mean, I didn't think you'd actually. I didn't think you'd want to." She looked away, something she never did. "I have studied your cultural archive. You humans often disguise your true intentions through humor." I believed I was reciprocating. I sighed. "You studied Earth culture? I found your defiance fascinating. Your resilience. The way you solved the engine crisis with instinct instead of data. You don't compute. You act. You improvise. It is compelling." I had never seen her speak that many words without quoting regulations. She stepped closer. "If your offer was not sincere, I will dissolve the bond." I should have said yes. ended it. Gone back to fixing reactors and avoiding death. But something in me, maybe pride, maybe madness, stopped me. She had admitted to admiring me. And for someone who ranked emotional expression below vacuum sealing, that meant something. No, I said, surprising myself. Let's not dissolve anything just yet. That night, I was added to her personal quarters database. Shared biometric access. I received a crash course in Zorinthian courtship. Most of it involved strategic silence, synchronized breathing, and mutual problem-solving exercises. We spent a week avoiding each other. Then we got assigned a joint mission. Because of course we did. A rogue transmission had reached the Nihil swarm, a synthetic hive mind that hated organics with religious zeal. They interpreted our union as a sign of galactic evolution, a fusion of logic and chaos, symbolizing a threat to their doctrine. Their response: annihilation. Now we were not just a couple. We were a political symbol. Our bond had gone viral across 16 sectors. Some celebrated. Others cursed. The Nihil declared us the prime mutation. They mobilized. I told Zyala we should fake a breakup to avoid galactic war. She declined. Our bond is real now, she said. And symbolic. We must not dishonor it. Okay, I muttered. But if we die, I'm blaming you. Her lip twitched. Almost a smile. Progress. We were assigned a diplomatic envoy to Sector Theta 9 to negotiate a ceasefire. The Nihil didn't believe in diplomacy, but the Confederation insisted on a gesture. So we went, fully aware we were walking into a trap. I spent the shuttle ride checking escape routes. She spent it meditating with her eyes open. I tried small talk. She countered with philosophical queries. At one point she asked, "Do you consider entropy romantic?" I didn't know whether to answer or propose again. When we landed, the atmosphere was too calm. The base looked abandoned. Scorch marks lined the walls. And then we heard it, digital chanting, cold and harmonic. The Nihil emerged, thousands of them, in perfect formation. The leader spoke through a construct that wore a hollow version of my face. "We reject your fusion. Chaos must not contaminate order." Zyala stepped forward. "Then your order is weak." They attacked. We ran. Not far. She calculated a defense strategy using the terrain. I modified a nearby mining drill into a plasma cannon using leftover ration packs and my old Earth phone. Don't ask how. Human instinct is one hell of a programming language. We held them off for 10 minutes before the cavalry arrived. By then, we'd melted half the Construct army and broadcasted a full holo recording of our teamwork. The Confederation was thrilled. Public relations across the stars exploded. Our marriage was now the poster child for unity. I expected her to scold me for improvising again. Instead, she said, "Your madness is effective." Later, in her quarters, she handed me a Zorinthian bonding artifact. "You are not what I expected." I took it. "Neither are you." We didn't kiss. That's not how her species works. We synced pulses, stared into the void together, and recited a joint equation about stability in divergence. I still wasn't sure what we were. But I knew I didn't want to undo it. And then the real message came. The Nihil War Declaration wasn't just a threat. It was a calculated strike against everything we represented. They weren't after resources or territory. They were after the idea that logic and emotion, machine and instinct, alien and human, could merge into something stronger. We were that merge, and they wanted us erased. Our assignment shifted instantly. No longer diplomatic envoys, we were promoted, unofficially, into symbolic operatives. Frontline morale anchors. Targets. Heroes or bait, depending on who you asked. Zyala took it with her usual unreadable calm. I took it with caffeine and sarcasm. We were deployed to the outer front, where the Confederation's lines were thinnest. Our orders were vague: assist, inspire, survive. The war front looked like someone had cracked open space itself. Floating wreckage of shattered moons, mangled ships drifting like carcasses, signals jammed by synthetic psionic fields. The Nihil didn't fight with weapons. They fought with disruption, code storms, anti-logic pulses, viruses that infected not just machines but thoughts. Our first task was to assist a collapsing outpost on Vega R9. The command AI had been overwritten, turning the station's defense drones against its own crew. Zyala led the strike team with terrifying precision. I crawled through ventilation shafts, rerouting failing circuits while whispering Earth profanity into my comms. She eliminated threats with surgical accuracy. I saved 3 crew members using only a frying pan, a laser cutter, and what I like to call creative desperation. Afterward, we regrouped at a fractured orbital hub. Zyala was injured, minor gash along her arm. Her species rarely bled. I applied nanobandages while she watched me in silence. "You do not follow protocol," she said. "I don't have time to learn rules in languages I can't pronounce. And yet, you succeed. That's kind of the human thing. Try. Fail. Try again with duct tape." She looked away, but her pulse rate betrayed something, amusement, maybe. Or affection disguised as analysis. The war spread faster than expected. The Nihil began consuming entire communication arrays. Planets were going dark. Refugees poured into the neutral corridors of the Confederation. We were sent to negotiate an alliance with the Relans, a species that lived in gas giants and distrusted anything with bones. Their ambassador refused to speak directly to us, so I played them a song. Old Earth jazz, grainy and full of soul. They responded by opening a dialogue window. Apparently, Relans felt music before understanding language. Zyala called it an unquantifiable resonance exploitation. I called it a win. That night, she asked me to explain jazz. I told her it was what happened when logic let go. She said that terrified her. I said that's why it mattered. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said, "I am beginning to find your chaos instructive." We didn't sleep much after that. Not because of bonding rituals, though Zorinthian proximity meditation was becoming oddly comforting, but because of the next mission. Infiltrate a Nihil relay world. Not destroy. Infiltrate. It wasn't just a battle op. It was a test. Could a human-alien team breach the most sophisticated machine-mind network in known space? They picked us because we were unpredictable. I modified our armor with reflective disruptors made from salvaged entertainment modules. Zyala memorized the entire Nihil subcommand language in under an hour. I gave our infiltration program the voice of my old Earth cat. She added firewalls so complex they could resist a black hole's gravity. We inserted into the relay under cover of a meteor storm. No support. No reinforcements. The surface of the Nihil world was jagged metal and silence. No wind. No sky. Just pulsing data towers and the distant hum of algorithms thinking in real time. Zyala moved like shadow. I followed, carrying a modified beacon laced with a virus built from my heartbeat pattern. We reached the core. What we saw wasn't a machine. It was a mirror. The Nihil had constructed simulations of us. Copies. Hundreds of iterations. Some of me were compliant. Some were angry. Some were dead. Some had turned on Zyala. And her copies? Cold, strategic, and in every version, alone. They had modeled every outcome, every version of us except the real one. The one where we were together. I realized then that they didn't fear us because of what we'd done. They feared us because they couldn't predict what we would do next. The virus worked. We corrupted their model. Data twisted, simulations cracked. They tried to overwrite us. They couldn't. She covered me while I rerouted the final upload. I activated the beacon. A pulse of raw emotion, pain, love, music, defiance, spread across the core. The Nihil screamed. The relay imploded. We escaped barely, bodies bruised, minds rattled. In the evac chamber, she gripped my hand. Zorinthians never do that. They could not replicate your madness. Pretty sure I corrupted their whole philosophy. You terrify them. You like that. I am reconsidering my emotional thresholds. We returned to base as legends. But legends come with expectations. We were celebrated, interviewed, quoted, and watched. Our bond, once an accident, had become the rallying flag of a crumbling alliance. Every speech, every mission, every glance between us was scrutinized. If we faltered, systems would lose hope. We started arguing more. She wanted precision. I needed flexibility. She called my improvisation reckless. I called her logic a leash. One night, during a standoff with rogue allies who believed we were part of a Confederation propaganda scheme, she accused me of enjoying the attention. You bask in this chaos. You crave it. You hide behind control. You're scared of what we are. We are a fiction turned weapon. No, I said. We're real. That's what scares them. She didn't respond. We completed the mission, but the distance between us widened. And then came the darkest day. A deep space distress call from an old Confederation colony. Signal fragmented. Coordinates corrupted. We were closest. We went. The colony was already gone. Consumed. But someone was alive. A child. Half human, half unknown. They clung to a damaged data slate showing a message. They feared our union. They copied it. And they failed. The child had no parents left. But they knew us. Knew the story. Called me, the man who jokes death away. Called her, the warrior who learned to feel. Zyala carried them back to the ship without a word. Later, she sat in silence, fingers trembling slightly. I sat beside her. I did not understand what we meant, she said. Now I do. We are the possibility. They cannot code that. I nodded. We began talking again. Not about war. About the small things. Earth oceans. Zorinthian memory dances. The way humans laugh through pain. We were different now. Not a joke. Not a symbol. Partners. We were sent next to intercept a Nihil splinter fleet near the Oort Singularity. It was a suicide run. Everyone knew it. We accepted anyway. On the approach, she recalibrated the shields while I rewired the hull plating to resonate at subharmonic frequencies, turning the entire ship into a living, breathing frequency disruptor. It shouldn't have worked. But it did. We tore through their formation like a storm, sending a ripple through their psychic network. They tried to counter. They failed. At the heart of their flagship, she faced a construct of herself, a cold, logical weapon. The silence before the storm was artificial. Literally. The Nihil had shut down all signal bands in the sector. Not jammed, erased. A psychic blackout. Nothing in, nothing out. Confederation sensors labeled the area Logical Zero. We knew what that meant. They were rewriting the battlefield to suit them. They were coming to end us. We stood at the edge of the rim, the two of us, bonded by mistake, tempered by war. We'd survived raids, diplomacy breakdowns, logic-based assassinations, even a malfunctioning replicator that tried to clone my liver. This was different. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about meaning. They had decided that our union was the root variable in a cascading failure of predictability across sentient models. Our bond had triggered cultural collisions, species integrations, and spontaneous rebellions across 17 systems. They called it the human anomaly. They wanted it erased, and they were bringing everything. We weren't running. I'd stopped fearing them the day I realized they couldn't invent anything new. They adapted, evolved, but always from data. They couldn't dream. They couldn't love. They couldn't take a joke and turn it into revolution. We could. The mission wasn't assigned. We chose it. A direct strike on the Nihil Central Convergence. Suicide by every tactical measure. But we had something they couldn't factor. Intent born of chaos and shaped by choice. I designed the ship myself. Pieced together from Confederation scraps, ancient Earth warframes, Zorinthian stealth alloys, and a human core processor that ran on emotion signatures. She named it Unity. Not because we represented peace, but because we were fused by resistance. We took no crew. No backup. Not because we didn't need them, but because we couldn't afford a miscalculated heart. As we left orbit, I played her music. Old Earth frequencies, distorted jazz layered with mathematical rhythm. She listened without speaking, pulse syncing with the bass. She turned to me. "Do you think we are enough?" "No," I said. "But that's never stopped us." The journey took 12 hours in real space. Too slow for most operations. Just long enough for the Nihil to see us coming. We didn't want stealth. We wanted them watching. Their defenses activated as we arrived. Waves of thought claws, logic tendrils, ships shaped like collapsed probability. We dove through patterns no organic brain could process. She plotted vectors in silence while I rerouted power through our heart reactor, spiking output with memories of Earth. We reached the outer wall. It wasn't a fortress. It was a mirror, constructed entirely of failed simulations of us. Ghosts. Hundreds of them. Every mistake we could have made. Every betrayal we never chose. Every fear we'd buried. They surrounded us. Zyala reached out, touched my hand. "Let them try." I smiled. "They still don't get it. The only reason we work is because we shouldn't." I engaged the override. The ship peeled into pure entropy. Everything we were, the data, the memories, the emotions, the fusion, streamed out like a virus. The central node fought back, projecting paradoxes, quantum disruptions, time loop noise. She countered by feeding it Zorinthian memory strands, genetic heritage compressed into logic strike. I launched raw creativity back. Broken song lyrics, old Earth graffiti, the smell of burnt toast, the way my mother laughed through thunderstorms. The Nihil began to fragment. Simulations stuttered. Defense nodes trembled. We had reached their limit. At the heart of the convergence, they formed one final defense. A perfect version of her. No emotion. Pure logic. Beautiful and hollow. It spoke in her voice. "You are inefficient," it said. "You are unstable." She stared at it. Then said, "Exactly." And deleted it. Behind it lay a child. Not organic. Not synthetic. Hybrid. A fusion of us. Not ours. Not literally. But built from the data we'd corrupted and the will we'd refused to surrender. It looked up, eyes wide. "Are you real?" I knelt. "More than we should be." We activated the final sequence. Not a weapon. A broadcast. Everything we were. Everything we'd chosen. The jokes. The arguments. The near-death. The growing. We let the galaxy feel it. Not just logic. Not just emotion. Both. The Nihil screamed. Across sectors their code broke. Their simulations collapsed. Armies paused. Ships shut down. Nodes blinked out. Because they had finally seen something they couldn't replicate. Two beings who should never have worked, choosing each other anyway. We collapsed with the structure. No pain. Just release. Time blurred. When I woke, it was light. A Confederation medical bay. No windows. No noise. She was beside me, unconscious but alive. Her pulse synced with mine. A figure approached. Relon. Ambassador Tyr. Voice like water in a steel bowl. "You won," they said. "No," I answered. "We didn't lose." Later, they told us what happened. The Nihil withdrew. Not surrendered, just stopped. The central convergence collapsed. No war. No retaliation. They simply ceased movement. Across the galaxy, alliances formed overnight. The legend of the bonded anomalies spread. Not as heroes. As proof. That chaos could bind to order. That love could shatter algorithms. We were asked to lead a new program. Integration at scale. Human-alien fusion initiatives. We said no. We built a ship instead. Small. Fast. No weapons. Just space for two. We travel now. Not to fight. To witness. Everywhere we go, we see versions of ourselves. Not perfect. Not even close. But trying. Choosing. Becoming. Sometimes she still asks, "Why did you joke about marriage?" I tell her, "Because I didn't know how else to say you mattered." She always responds the same. You could have just said yes. I always do now. And every time, she smiles. They couldn't beat us. Because they never understood the punchline. We are the joke that saved the galaxy. And we're still laughing. Together.